Hi, I'm Daryl with Custom Calibrations. Short video today to talk about the 4 things that every television would benefit from, regardless of what you pay for it. Okay, so there's 4 things that every television should have done or have set correctly on it. To do these 4 things will greatly improve your quality of viewing. The first thing that should be done is you should set your television in the most accurate picture mode. Every TV has multiple picture modes out of the box, and they vary from vivid to standard to theater to cinema to sports. There'll be 2, 3, 4, depending on your television, multiple picture modes. One of those modes will be the most accurate mode that the TV can be in. I can tell you it will not be vivid mode, and it will not be standard mode, most likely. The second thing that we want to make sure that we do is put the television in the most accurate color temperature. Again, televisions come from the factory with multiple color temperature options, ranging from very cool, which is kind of a bluish tint to the television, which is quite pleasing to the eye, but not accurate, to a more warm color temperature, which is more yellowish, reddish, typically a little bit closer to real life, but you don't want to go too far that way. So you want to find the color temperature that's the closest to accurate that it can be. The third thing that you want to do is adjust the contrast correctly. Now, contrast on a television, that determines how much detail or how many details can you see in the brightest parts of the image. If contrast is set too high, then you lose details in the bright image. You may look at a sky and it's all white. Well, there should be clouds perhaps. Or you're looking at clouds, but you don't see the details in those clouds that are actually there. If the contrast is set correctly, you will then be able to see the details that are actually there. The fourth thing you want to make sure is set correctly is the brightness. Now, the brightness is actually the black level, the dark parts. So you want to make sure that's set correctly. And much like contrast, what happens is if it's set too dark, then there's details in the dark parts of the image you lose. You don't see them, but they're there. Now, if you raise it too high, then what happens is that those really dark spots begin to look more grayish, and your picture will look more washed out. It won't have the depth that it should have or that it will have when the contrast and the brightness are set correctly. Now, for those last 2, another thing that's very important is that you set those things in the viewing environment you most often watch television in. If you most often watch television in a dark or a dimly lit room, the way you set those or where you set those is not the same as if you're normally watching television in a bright room or a brightly lit room. They're different. So be conscious of that. You can also find, if you want to do this yourself, you can find on the internet, typically by television, you can find out, okay, what's the most accurate picture mode for my television. You can find out what's the most accurate color temperature for my television. And there's patterns you can get from YouTube which will help you adjust the contrast and the brightness yourself. If you're a little bit nervous about that or afraid you won't do it correctly, I can come in. Custom Calibrations offers a service where we will do just those 4 things for you, $50, pretty good deal, and make sure that it's done correctly. You can find out more information about this and other calibration ideas and services at www.custom-calibrations.com.